Hello and welcome to a 1v1 cast on Greentooth Gorge. Starting off in the bottom side, we have Crewfinity playing as the Lictor Alpha with that blue and red colour scheme. Meanwhile, in the top side, we have PaperBaG playing as the Ravna Alpha with the orange colour scheme. And both players are going to be playing Tyranids today. Should make for an interesting mirror match with so many units on the field, both melee, ranged, and some with vehicle armor as the game progresses on. Crewfinity already with a Spore Mine squad out in the field. PaperBaG does have his own, but Crew is actually purchasing a second one. I can't remember now if it is 2 or 3 pops from the Spore Mines to actually insta-give a Termagant or Hummergant brood. I am pretty sure they is free if you want to kill them with one press of a button. But before you can actually go up and kill a squad, you actually need to get your Spore Mines in range, which can be a bit more difficult to do, especially when the crippling poison upgrade comes in later for these Termagants, which also increases their damage. But the Spore Mines on top of some Hummergants right now, and there's 2 explosions straight away, bringing the squad down to just 3 out of 8 models. So it looks like it was only 2 explosions to actually wipe a Termagant squad. This second squad is so low right now. Another Spore Mine explosion is not going to be in range anymore, but these 2 Spore Mines have already forced off PaperBaG's entire army, with the exception of the Ravna Alpha and his own Spore Mine squad. And there's even a third Spore Mine squad for Crew on the field right now. 500 VPs to 488, not that it really matters that much in the early game. What the VP count is, it's not going to have changed much from that 500 to 500, but a Ravna tunnel has been detected here by the Lictor Alpha and he will kill it. Meanwhile, getting jumped on by some Hummergants by that Lictor Alpha with a high rate of attack and the same melee skills. These Hummergants will be able to land specials fairly frequently just from the fact that he has such a high attack rate. Commanders with higher attack rates have more chance to special compared to those who have a slower attack. Another example of a commander who has a fast attack rate is the Farseer. You tend to notice her specialing a bit more than other commanders, but PaperBaG has caught out these Hummergants with the Spore Mines here. One more pop, and it surprisingly doesn't kill off the Hummergant squad. It will be able to barely escape there with 12 HP somehow. That should have most definitely have killed it. The Lictor Alpha also remains unscathed there, but the Spore Mines for Crew all groups up right now. Termagants are trying to poke away at a distance. They will need to be careful because these Spore Mines are still fairly healthy. Spore Mines do not regenerate any health whatsoever. At the same time, the Ravna Alpha is unable to use them in tunnels, and their Spore Mine squad is going to, or all 3 Spore Mine squads are all going to catch out a squad of Termagants, and with a single press of a button, Crew has deleted a squad of PaperBaGs. Ravna Alpha is left though to fend off these Spore Mines by himself. Spore Mine's not going to get used against the Ravna Alpha, it's not really needed. I'm not even sure if it does damage to enemy Spore Mines. But these Hummergants though are potentially getting a bit caught out. Crew presses all the buttons at the same time, does not have any explosion to follow up from those initial ones, and pressing it once again. These Spore Mines have not done as well as they have in that recent explosion, trying to attack the enemy Spore Mine squad but not doing it too much. You know, Ravna's going to force off a Termagant squad here. These melee Ravnas doing power melee. Quite effective against infantry, but even more effective with the Devourer upgrade against infantry. And another wipe in this game. A Termagant squad getting caught out by Crew from PaperBaG's Spore Mine squad. The Lictor Alpha is going to try and get some revenge by finishing off that squad, but more Termagants are coming in. They do not need to worry about getting absolutely mauled on retreat by a Spore Mine squad anymore. Spore Mines do full damage as well on retreat, so you do need to take that in mind when you're trying to go deep into enemy territory with a squad like a Hummergant squad or a Termagant squad. But both players are starting to look towards tier 2 now. Crew's actually going to be the first person to tier 2, going for a very light tier 1, no upgrades on his units whatsoever, just went for triple Spore Mines into tier 2. That's the only power that he has spent. Meanwhile, PaperBaG opting for Raveners with Devourers. That's going to cost him 55 power, along with the 5 power that he spent on his own Spore Mine squad, along with upgrades on the Termagants and upgrades on the way for these Hummergants. Ravener Alpha though getting a little bit caught out by some Homogons, but these Homogons going to get locked into place here by the crippling poison from the Termagants, and with the Ravens coming in, they make the correct decision to retreat out of there. The Ravener's burst damage would have certainly picked off a few models had they have not retreated in time, and Crew with the first person to tier 2 also going to be ahead in VPs by 60 points. The triple Spore Mine pressure here has hit PaperBaG quite hard in the early game. But Crewfinity is not the only one suffering with squad loss on the field, losing their squad each, both players have. The Spore Mines definitely putting on a bit more pressure against PaperBaG in comparison to PaperBaG, whose Raveners have not had that same impact. Meanwhile, these Termagants going to keep on entering and exiting the building at the same time. Meanwhile, Homogons now forced off as Crew decides to back up his Termagants here and will be able to push on through. Capturing that center VP with the Lictor Alpha, who's still only level 1, hasn't really done much, or hasn't had much of an opportunity to go in and infiltrate and sneakily kill some units. PaperBaG decides to opt for a further squad of Spore Mines. It's going to be his second squad. I'm not sure how well these Spore Mines are going to do, but it's going to follow that up immediately with a tier 2 purchase. Meanwhile, Crudo already with a Tyrant Guard out on the way, nearly out of the factory. Well, it's not really a factory, nearly out of the hive. Tyrant Guard is super heavy infantry, going to be vulnerable to power melee and also vulnerable to plasma type damage, although there is no plasma type damage here for Tyranids with the exception of a bioplasma, which I believe is plasma cannon anyway, not plasma. But the Tyrant Guard now out in the field. Gene Stealers with their rending talons, or with their just even default weapon, the power melee, could be extremely effective against this Tyrant Guard, and Homogon's gonna get wiped there for Crew. Unhappy face in the chat. Meanwhile, Termagants on the other side. Map Crew not really having many units now. It does follow up with a warrior squad. Sometimes you'll see Hive Tyrants call down warriors instead of actually having to purchase them, but because Crew is a Lictor Alpha, he has to purchase them like anyone else. The Tyrant Guard going to be landing special here. I don't believe the Tyrant Guard does that much splash damage in comparison to a Dreadnought or a Khorne Dreadnought. But definitely does do some splash damage, which comes in very useful. The Tyrant Guard still though 2,500 HP of super heavy infantry. I'm not sure how it can stand up against tier 2 Tyranid units, especially when Gene Stealers come out on the field. Especially when a Venom Brood can be quite painful with their piercing damage. On the left hand side, some Spore Mines applying some pressure onto the natural VP. Spore Mines cannot cap, so they're just going to sit on top of that VP and have a nice look at it. Meanwhile, some Raveners are coming in as some support, as the capping unit here. They will be able to go get that requisition point and follow up onto the VP if Crew does not react appropriately. Tyrant Guard going to start taking a little bit of damage here, but because it's super heavy infantry and because these Termagants are only dealing piercing damage, Tyrant Guard does not really care about it whatsoever. I believe piercing damage does about 20 to 25% of its total damage against super heavy infantry, which is nothing in comparison to what other types of damage will do to it. But PaperBaG going to be reacting with a Tyrant Guard of his own. Instead of following up with warriors, it actually follows up with a Venom Brood. Venom Brood very similar to warriors, both synapse creatures, but Venom Brood instead with venom cannons. But the Warrior Brood jumped onto the Ravener Alpha there, but still taking so much damage from these Homogons. Homogons are upgraded with the Adrenal Glands, but so far they do not have the further squad upgrade to make them on 10 models instead of 8. The Gene Stealers are out of the field for Crew. This Tyrant Guard could be going down fairly quickly here. They do have the Rending Talons upgrade, so even if it goes into shield wall formation, it will still take a lot of damage. But the heavy melee going to be very effective here against super heavy infantry, doing full damage to super heavy units. But the squad is forced off the Tyrant Guard charge, knocking them onto their feet, prevents them from being able to do anything whatsoever, and prevents them healing from their adrenal rush. But PaperBaG, he is a Ravener Alpha. We could see the Catalyst ability come in later on into play. The Catalyst ability does increase a damage of a squad by 100%, I believe. About 50 to 100%. I can't remember the exact number for the Catalyst ability, but this is a lot, but at the same time it does cost your units part of their health. Lictor trying to go in for a snipe down to the Venom Brood, unable to actually pick off a model though with his flesh hook. Meanwhile, Ravener is a little bit far forward here, going to get caught out by the Tyrant Guard and Lictor Alpha, forced to retreat away at full health because there's nothing else that he could have done, but the Gene Stealers and Warriors for Crew are chasing down this Tyrant Guard hard. It should enter into shield wall formation. That's going to be its only chance of survival. It does not have its charge available because it's already used it. Decides to enter shield wall formation now, but it is far too late and will go down. Heavy melee is effective against vehicle armor. When you turn into shield wall formation, you do turn into vehicle armor, but heavy melee though will be able to do 50% damage to vehicle armor. These homogons though taking so much damage, getting caught out, getting knocked over by the Warriors, but one model manages to make it out alive by being so far away from the rest of the group, and some predatory towers already going to go down here for PaperBaG. Already got a couple on the field, meanwhile Crew already having one on his natural VP. Meanwhile the Lictor level 2 just going to keep on that side and start capping up, but the Lictor is going to need an upgrade or two at the very least if he wants to handle an incoming homogon squad. He needs to consider getting a weapon at the very least. Most weapons will do. Lictor Alpha doing so much damage with his weapons. Even his default weapon, I believe, it does about 40 melee DPS, and the fact that it has such a high attack rate as well for those quicker or higher chance of specials helps out a lot. The Warriors going to be bleeding too much. These Gene Stealers actually taking a lot of damage from synapse bombs and the fact that they got knocked over, but these Venom Brood, heavy infantry trying to fight against this heavy melee, not going to be able to do so, but the Venom Brood are going to go down. The triple synapse bomb going off into the army of PaperBaG there. That is absolutely brutal, and the Gene Stealers going to be able to escape as if nothing happened. Taking down a Venom Brood is massive. This Tyrant Guard will be able to be a bit more free now that there's no armor piercing damage on the field. Meanwhile, Termagon Brood do have 10 out of 10 models. They do have a tier 2 squad upgrade without number. Tyrant Guard is going to be pushing in though. Going to go after that Ravna Alpha squad. A bit low right now on 2 models. Decides to go for the Termagon squad. That's capping since they are remaining still. It's very easy for the Tyrant Guards to pick off some models, but there's some more Gene Stealers on the way, this time from PaperBaG and Crews. Tyrant Guard is just heavily out of position right now, needs to use its melee charge to escape. Looks like it's going to be unable to do so. The plasma damage from that Ravna Alpha is also going to be very effective as well. It does have that 25% increased synapse damage, the synapse aura, an accessory on the Ravna Alpha to boost all incoming, or boost all damage, sorry, on Tyranid or allied Tyranid units. Gene Stealers is going to be sitting back. Combined that with Catalyst onto these Gene Stealers of PaperBaG, and some serious damage is going to be down. A squad could probably get wiped fairly quickly. The only risk is using Catalyst does drain the health of the unit that does have the ability activated. Mean it does trade off a little bit, but Gene Stealers with the Adrenal Rush, because they heal on hit, can come in very useful. But again, 1050 health of infantry armor can easily get focused down by your opponent if you position them fairly badly. But there are some Gene Stealers hiding here for Crew, going to engage the enemy Gene Stealers of PaperBaG, and it looks like Crew getting first hit here, but its Adrenal Rush makes it very difficult to see who's going to win. But the Warriors jumping in, decide to turn the tide of that battle, going to go towards Crewfinity. PaperBaG forced off with just a single model remaining. Gene Stealers going to engage Termagons. Warriors are now going to jump in onto PaperBaG, onto Crewfinity's army here, but the heavy infantry might not be able to last against these Gene Stealers. They are healing, well, not healing at all, but they're doing so much damage here. The Warriors are able to get at least one model. Going to go after the Ravna Brood instead now. Meanwhile, the Ravna Alpha is going to carry on firing away. The plasma damage from that acid splatter is going to be so much. I'm sorry, not the acid splatter. The corrosive devourer is going to be so much, so effective against heavy infantry, and with that damage synapse as well to boost all nearby units. It really does add up. But the Venom Brood going down means that there is no ranged synapse for PaperBaG's army, but does have Warriors. When they get, well, when they now have their Adrenal Glands, the Homogons and Termagons will find themselves further buffed. Meanwhile, Carnifex is planning to come out for Crewfinity, 317 VPs to 304. Game has been fairly close this time. The things can all change with the Carnifex coming out. PaperBaG not actually having any AV ready to deal with it. Does have a lot of heavy melee, has heavy melee Gene Stealers, has heavy melee Warriors, and has the Ravna Alpha. Corrosive Devourer does have an ability so you can increase your damage against vehicles by 250% for about 15 seconds. but I'm not sure that's going to be enough to take down the Carnifex, especially if it does turn out to be a fawn back Carnifex. As of right now, it is currently unupgraded, does not have any melee resistance. But if it does become a fawn back and does gain that melee resistance, then PaperBaG might have some trouble taking it down. Might need to pull back and call in a Venom Brood to actually handle this Carnifex. It will now reveal itself fairly shortly. Some more cavalry towers just lying around the place as per usual when you're dealing with multiple Tyranid players. And the Carnifex now spotted here by PaperBaG. Already that Corrosive Devour doing like 50 damage to the Carnifex. That's quite a bit when you think about a single salvo from a commander who is just a single model. But PaperBaG going to be reshifting through mid. Does have another Spawn Mine squad, surprisingly there. Spawn Mines will actually be quite effective against Gene Stealers since they have only 6 models and have low health as a squad in total. Should be able to kill a Gene Stealer squad in 3 to 4 bursts. Lictor Alpha going to get forced off here. Lictor Alpha is in desperate need of some upgrades, I believe. Some upgrades would really help his ability to fight on the side, but the Spawn Mines getting caught out for PaperBaG. They're not going to be doing too much. Did do a little bit of damage to the Gene Stealers and Warriors, but it's going to be largely ignored though for Crew. Meanwhile, cavalry towers do remain for the enemy here. Crew could easily try and take them out. Tyranids formation going to go down onto Crew's natural, or onto his own power farm. He's actually killing his own generator farm. What is he doing? Killed his own generator farm completely, and was not able to get anything really out of it. Was able to kill 2 Gene Stealer models while throwing away his own power farm. Might be able to get a Ravener model here as well. Might even get 2. Might even get the squad. Lictor Alpha is already going to engage the squad, and that squad is definitely going to go down. If the Flesh Hook is available, it's not even needed at this point. In fact, it is. The Flesh Hook is going to secure the kill there for the Ravener Alpha. But still, Ravener Alpha for taking out an entire power farm without any assistance. I don't know who that trade really favors, to be honest. I believe it does favor PaperBaG the longer this game goes on. The Crew is low on VPs, or starting to get a little bit low on VPs, 189 to 279. PaperBaG has been dominating the map control for the past few minutes. Meanwhile, Crew has been relying a bit heavily on waiting for this Carnifex. Now that it's out, he needs to take advantage of it and start reclaiming the map as his own, while PaperBaG takes up to tier 3 himself. Gene Stealers though getting a little bit caught out for Crew, going to take a bit too much damage. They try to re-engage Gene Stealers though off PaperBaG, but the Warriors leaping in, knocking the models over, giving the Gene Stealers 3 hits against the enemy Gene Stealers. It's not going to go too well, and this this Carnifex is taking so much damage already from that Corrosive Devourer, and now the heavy melee Gene Stealers are in. Fawnback is coming in through, but it's not going to be there enough. Now the the Carnifex has 40% melee resistance, but I feel like it is too late. Warriors are backing away. Gene Stealers are getting a little bit too low, and the Corrosive Devourer's damage against vehicles has now run out. Presumably the Carnifex needs to go back to base. It needs to start healing up. Otherwise it's going to struggle in the next upcoming fights when it's only on 520 HP. Carnifex is going to pick up a model in its mouth and toss it aside like a chew toy. But the Ravener Alpha though, doing so much damage, is fully upgraded, now has the regenerate armor, giving him insane health regen, up to 5 health regen when outside of combat. Or in fact 7.5 when out of combat. Didn't realize it was 5 by default. You know, the Lictor Alpha does have the menacing visage, but still needs a weapon upgrade if he wants to actually be able to stand up against units on the left hand side himself. Should be able to fight off these Homogods and no problem with a weapon upgrade or even an armor upgrade. The Scythe ability from the power melee to Lictor Alpha weapon is quite effective against larger blobs of melee. I can't actually remember the name of it, but I think you guys know which one I mean. In fact, he's actually got it now. The Scything Talons doing 81 power melee DPS with the Scythe ability, which you've just seen, suppressing the squad and doing damage in an area, and getting another special. Lictor Alpha also has the Toxic Cyst as well, which does give him 10 health regen per second for 10 seconds, and does damage in an area around him. And with the Menacing Visage, going to force off the Gene Stealer squad that was trying to come in for the flank. The Lictor is going to be free to do whatever he wishes. 173 VPs to 188. That Carnifex has given Crewfinity plenty of map control back and has evened out the VP score. You know what, Roy is going to be leaping in onto these Termagants here, and Crew going to be opting for a second Gene Stealer squad. PaperBaG opting for a Venom Brood. He is now tier 3 but has not actually purchased any tier 3 units or even tier 3 upgrades for that matter. Rending Talons used to be a tier 3 upgrade for Gene Stealers, but is actually in tier 2 now, as we saw earlier. But Crew does actually have his power rebuilt, even after he killed it early with the Tyranids formation. You can see the 2 Capillary Towers that done all the work. They're killing it much earlier. They're now back up, and Crew now having a properly balanced economy instead of being very wreck heavy because of not having a generator farm. But a second Gene Stealer squad coming out, and already the Rending Talons upgrade is coming in. Meanwhile, PaperBaG is opting for some more Gene Stealers of his own. Gene Stealer seems to be the favourable choice in this Tyranid matchup. Both players opting for Gene Stealer heavy builds, the heavy melee, the Adrenal Rush. It's just too much for enemy players to handle. But from PaperBaG, I would still like to see Catalyst get used by him in the next engagement, even on the Venom Brood, to try and take down the Carnifex. Catalyst on the Venom Brood, they're not going to get hit by anything in range. Crew's army is pretty much all melee with the exception of a single Termagant squad. So the Venom Brood, if they can keep into safe distance, put Catalyst on them and use it to tear down that Carnifex in record speed. Double Gene Stealers though, both players going very similar builds. Some Homagants are going to get caught out for PaperBaG. Transformation is going to go down on top of his army. The Homagants will be able to barely escape there as Crew decides not to pursue any further. A Warrior model getting heavily caught out by PaperBaG, but Paper is running through his own Transformation. Does need to be a little bit careful, but his army is massively buffed with all the Capillary Towers in the area. This Carnifex is down to just 1080 HP. Will need to be on the careful side. The Venom Brood should be able to push in and should have Catalyst on them. They must have Catalyst on them. It will help out so much. Ravener Alpha's actually left the fight, so Damage Synapse is no longer in effect here for Paper's army. Spore Mine's going to get called down by Crew as well. The Spore Mine's going to help out quite a bit. There's just Gene Stealers and Gene Stealers versus Warriors and Warriors. It's just, I can't even tell what is going on. Everything is hitting everything, but that one thing's certain. That Carnifex is definitely going to fall down. This engagement, 61 HP. Gene Stealer squad though for PaperBaG getting so low. One squad has already fallen. The Carnifex now falls himself. But it looks like this fight is still going to work out for Crewfinity. That Carnifex was just a massive sponge, absorbing so much damage here. Gene Stealer's going to go down for Crewfinity as well. He's thrown away his Gene Stealers by not retreating them away in time, but the Gene Stealers, a second squad, is still in the fight and is doing so much work. Level 1 should probably hit level 2 after this engagement though. Meanwhile, Warriors going to get caught out by Homagants. These Warriors should just back away rather than try and melee down these Homagants as much as they can, win the fight against these Homagants. They now have Gene Stealers in their rear because they took too long to retreat. Now PaperBaG risks losing another squad. If it wasn't for the Gene Stealers having horrible pathing there, that squad would have definitely gone down. PaperBaG would have just risked it all for a Homagant squad, which he did not even kill. Ravener Alpha back onto the fight. But maybe should have jumped in that last fight. That 25% damage Synapse could have helped out massively with all the melee units in the area. Should have kept the Ravener Alpha with him as well as a source of AV against that Carnifex though. 115 VPs to 150, PaperBaG less units but more VPs. Does stand a slight chance of still winning this game through the VP pressure alone, but is down a lot of units. Will not be able to win any engagements full on against Crewfinity at this point, especially with the Menacing Visage still purchased on the Lictor Alpha. But PaperBaG can definitely try and win using tunnels from the Ravener, using Ravener call-in, and also trying to just be as mobile as possible. But a triple cap here for Crew threatens PaperBaG's game now. Let's have some Termagants on the left-hand side. Gonna send some units to the right-hand side, and Ravener Alpha should focus on trying to build some tunnels in awkward places that Crew will not be able to find, or in places where Crew does not know that they're there. Will help out later because of flanking maneuvers. Spore mines, more spore mines in the game. Getting a Capillary Tower spawned outside of the building here to spawn some spore mines to try and force off this Termagant squad. Tried to kill the squad in fact, but unable to actually do so. Lictor though with the Siphon Talons going to be pushing against these Venom Brood and 81 power melee DPS, probably doing about 100 melee DPS. In fact, to that Venom Brood is just absolutely brutal. The amount of damage that Lictor is laying out right now might even wipe the squad at this point. One more hit and a Flesh Hook should be able to do it. Going to be unable to secure that in the end. Meanwhile, PaperBaG going to be engaging here. These warriors are not equipped to stand up against double Gene Stealers supported by Adrenal Gland warriors. You can see our squad is falling so rapidly, but it surprisingly did not lose a single model. 570 HP. It manages to just get away without model loss. It's very impressive for the squad, and the Lictor Alpha is going to go down. Crew slipping up a little bit here. At the same time, he does have some dominating map control right now and control 2 VPs, trying to get a third one for himself. And more melee on melee action. Gene Stealers though for PaperBaG are healing, meanwhile Crew's Gene Stealers are not healing whatsoever, but Crew is going to win the fight by sheer numbers alone. A third Gene Stealer squad is going to be jumping into the fray here. These Homogons do not stand a chance for Paper. 115 VPs to 25. Looks like Paper might be out of this game at this point, losing a Homogon squad. Unable to do anything about the VP count, is trying to pressure around the other sides of the map. His own Termagant's going to go get killed, can get mowed down by Crew's Termagant's going to try and capture it in mid with the warriors, but I don't think it's going to be in time. It's going to be a 1-to-1 cap fairly soon. I don't even know if the warriors can get the cap here in time, but it looks like that one fight where the Carnifex fell for Crewfinity was the fight that decided this game, the fight that occurred over here. PaperBaG, I feel like the fight could have been different. Bringing his Ravner Alpha along with him, that 25% damage boost would have helped out massively. That Corrosive Devour would have helped out so well against that Carnifex, and had the Carnifex gone down faster, PaperBaG would have been able to focus down those Gene Stealers and possibly win the game through that. But I felt like the entire game kind of rested on this one engagement over here, and the winner of that went on to win the game because the other person had lost too many units. And I'm going to be signing off for now. Thanks for watching.